I went into this expecting to absolutely hate the hell out of this movie. It wasn't the Turtles in any form that I've loved. But despite all of its issues, and there are so many, I still somehow enjoyed it. Hi all, my name is Ryan and welcome to my channel What the Pop, where we discuss pop culture in general and Buffy a lot. There will be spoilers in this, as I dissect what I dislike and why I ultimately like this movie, so you have been warned. The Ninja Turtles are currently in somewhat of a renaissance. Their ongoing comic series is still being published. They recently had the Last Ronin Limited series, and just recently had a new game, Shredder's Revenge, that was an homage to the original 4-player arcade game. Couple that with the Cowabunga collection, which collected most of the Turtles games into a single compilation, and the Turtles are everywhere again. Now, anyone who has watched a few of the videos on my channel will know 3 main things about me. 1, I love Buffy, 2, I'm gay, and 3, I'm a martial artist. One of the drivers of that love of martial arts was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've always loved ninjas, but they were always 1 or 2 characters in other shows, like G.I. Joe, with Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, and Jinx. In the Pirates vs. Ninjas war, I am very much Team Ninja. And TMNT made an entire series around ninjas, so despite the original cartoon being rather hokey, I still loved it. I picked up the Eastman and Laird original comics, I watched the cartoons, I finished the original Turtles game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Yep, the one with the dam level. I've finished Turtles in Time and played all 3 versions of Turtles Tournament Fighter and pretty much every other game available. I bought all the toys. In fact, until about a year ago when I sold my collection, I had almost every figure from the original toy run, even rare ones like Scratch. I bought the Archie comics, both Turtles and Mutanimals. I watched all 3 live-action movies, the live-action TV show that introduced Venus, a female turtle, watched the 2003 Nickelodeon cartoon, even when it went into the future and became a bit silly, watched the 2012 series, the animated movie in between all of that with Sarah Michelle Gellar voicing April, and I've recently read The Last Ronin and played the Shredder's Revenge game. So needless to say, I've seen a lot of the Ninja Turtles. What I haven't watched is the Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon. I just couldn't get into it. It is the least like the Turtles that I've known and loved all these years, and has a number of issues that I couldn't get over to enjoy it. All of those issues are present in this movie. Yet ultimately I did end up enjoying this movie, and that's due to a strong finish. First, let's go through the issues that I have. I dislike the art style and choices used for this iteration of the Turtles immensely. I think it is the worst representation of the Turtles so far. You have Don, Mikey and Leo looking like they've been on a supermodel diet. Their shells and bodies have a skinny waist taper to them that just looks weird on a mutant turtle. They look like they've been caught in a 6-pack plastic ring and it has deformed their shells. Maybe it's meant as a commentary on proper plastic waste disposal, who knows. Regardless, I don't like it. Sticking out like a sore thumb, because he's different to his brothers, is Raph. Raph is a big hulking brute of a turtle here, complete with shoulder spikes and incisor like snaggletooth. He is basically Slash from the original Toys and Archie comics, made into one of the brothers. The Krang in this movie are nothing like the Krang you've seen before. They're large, bigger than the Turtles, and somewhat squarish rather than brain-like. They're deadly before they've even combined with their tech. Absolutely lethal when they do. They do present as formidable foes and a genuine threat to our heroes. And I honestly wouldn't have minded this version of the Krang if the last 35 years of Krang didn't already exist. What I didn't like about this Krang is how they relate to this world. Splinter has heard of them. They apparently came to this world to enslave it, but were locked in a different dimension. They are worshipped by the Foot Clan, and it is ultimately the actions of the Foot Clan that result in the portal being opened so the Krang can come through. And it just doesn't really make a lot of sense as to why the Foot would worship them, and why they would be trying to bring them to Earth. The Krang arrive on Earth and immediately start taking over the Foot Clan members, essentially turning them into mutant monsters and mostly wiping the Foot Clan out. I disliked the character changes they have made, such as Raph is the older brother and quasi-leader. He is no longer the impulsive hothead that he's always been. Leo is now the more impulsive one, and it is his selfishness and stupidity at the start of the movie that means the Foot Clan have the mystical key to release the Krang. This iteration of the Turtles makes them seem more immature and childish, and nothing like the warriors from the original Eastman and Laird comics. While they have all of these ninja skills that are frequently on display, they, particularly Leo, make selfish and stupid choices that just makes them seem entirely incompetent. It makes it seem half the time that the Turtles aren't battling their enemy so much as their own stupidity. Speaking of stupidity, Splinter seems like somewhat of a moron, instead of the wise master and elite ninja sensei he has always been. Now, his own stupidity would account for why his sons make such bad choices, but it's irksome when the Splinter you know is supposed to be a wise sage and an absolute lethal weapon. As for April, she is now a sassy black woman. Now, I usually don't care when they race and gender bend characters. I literally just finished binge watching Sandman and thought, that was great, and that has a number of race and gender bent characters in it. But this race bent version of April feels like they did it just so they could turn her into a sassy black woman, which is a TV trope at this point in time and just a lazy stereotype. So it seems extremely forced and counterproductive. She's also not the kick-ass reporter that we know and love. Finally, they have these mystic weapons that make them super OP in normal fights and seems like a way to give them superpowers so they can compete with superheroes in terms of spectacle. Leo's swords enable him to teleport, turning him into Nightcrawler from the X-Men as he portal hops around his opponents. Don has mystic tech, which turns him into a Green Lantern as he wills weapons into existence. Mikey has mystic chains that turn him into Ghost Rider and the ability to do all sorts of mystic stuff, such as open a time portal. And Raph is able to make red mystic energy armor, pretty much like armor from the X-Men. So because of these issues, for 2/3 of the movie I'm sitting there going, Leo, you're an effing moron and this is the dumbest version of the Turtles I've ever watched. And it's no wonder the series that preceded this movie only lasted 2 seasons, the shortest of any Turtle show besides the Next Mutation live action one. Because watching these characters every week as they are would be intolerable. But I kept watching because I had already dedicated myself to doing so, and despite how much I hated this version of the Turtles, I wanted to see where it went and if Leo could redeem himself. I basically hate watched it. Ultimately though, it was the action scenes that kept me watching because despite how undisciplined these Turtles seem, the action scenes are animated well and the powers do give it flash. Casey Jones is in this version, from the future. He is sent back by Leo, who is his sensei, through Mikey's time portal to prevent the Foot from opening the dimensional gate to the Krang. In their future, the Krang have won. Their resistance has failed. Casey proclaims that Leo is the greatest ninja ever, but soon learns that he's dealing with the moron that we're watching. So at the start of the movie, it's Leo's fault that the Foot get the portal key. And when they go to retrieve that key from the Foot, it is Leo's fault that Raph gets captured by the Krang, because he went in with no plan and they got their asses kicked. A lot of movies have trouble nailing the third act and leave you disliking what otherwise was a good movie. This movie is the opposite. It is the third act that saves this movie for me. They say if you finish strong, that is the lasting impression people will have of your movie. And this is a perfect example of that. In the third act, we actually get the Ninja Turtles that we are used to. The brothers as a team, formulating a plan to rescue Raph and just being awesome ninjas. While battling the Krang, the brothers do come together, and the fight scene here, when they have rescued Raph and are using their powers against an extremely deadly foe, does look great. Ultimately though, they are still losing, and when his brothers get taken out of the fight, it is up to Leo. And Leo does get his shit together, and in what is actually a touching scene, sacrifices himself in the portal dimension in order to keep the Krang there, while Casey takes the portal key and closes the dimensional gate. Trapped in the dimension with the Krang is taking that out on Leo, kicking his ass as he clutches onto the photo of his family, knowing he has saved them. And then Mikey, refusing to give up on his brother, wills open a dimensional gate, supported by his brothers to open it, and they rescue Leo. The scene with Leo's sacrifice made such a difference to the rest of the movie, because in that moment he was the Leo that we've known and loved for 35 years. Duty, honour, and sacrifice. In that moment he was the leader we have always known him to be, who would always be selfless in his actions. He was a hero. And finishing the movie so strong saves the rest of the movie for me. I'm glad I pushed through until the end. So if you find yourself watching this movie and thinking Leo is an insufferable dumbass, just know that this movie does finish strongly and the ending feels good. Whether it makes up for the first 2/3 being so annoying is debatable, but I'd already committed to watching it, and with such a strong ending, don't feel like I wasted my time. Thanks for watching. If you like what I do, please like, subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Or consider supporting the page through our Patreon. If you think I missed anything or have any further comments, put them in the comments below and I'll see you next video.